Coming up, the two best teams in the National League start a big series in LA. This is Locked On Game to Game, MLB.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game MLB. Local experts join us. Then we recap all of the action for you from yesterday across Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. The Yankees made a 3-run comeback in the ninth inning to force extras against the Tigers on Thursday, but Detroit ended up coming out on top with a walk-off in the 10th. Locked On Yankees goes over the tough loss to end the series.
This is Stacey Gotsoulias of Locked On Yankees, and the Yankees dropped the finale to Detroit 4-3 in 10 innings. But let's say it was 3-0 going into the top of the ninth. The Yankees had 2 on with 2 outs. Anthony Volpe comes up, and he hits an opposite field home run to tie the game at 3. It's a very exciting moment for the Yankees, and a very exciting moment for Volpe, who hit his 20th home run of the season. So he has 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases, and he's the first Yankees rookie shortstop to ever do that. Think of Yankees shortstops in history. That's pretty cool. Now, ultimately, the Yankees fell to the Tigers thanks to a Gleyber Torres throwing error that should have been a double play, but that's just the way the 2023 season is going for the Yankees. So we talk about that. We talk about Harrison Bader being picked up by the Reds on waivers, and it's Fan Mail Friday, and we answer all your burning questions.
The Giants are barely holding on to the last wild card spot in the National League right now, and they have a series this weekend against their division rival, the Padres, to try and make a little room for themselves. Our Locked On hosts tell us all of the details after that battle in San Diego.
Entering tonight with just 29 games left on the schedule and the Giants clinging to a half-game lead over the final playoff spot in the National League, this is obviously a huge game and a huge series against the San Diego Padres, a team with a ton of talent that has underperformed. And the Giants came away with an emphatic win. And I just can't stress enough that every single game from here on out is critically important. A lot of teams were off today, including the D-backs, whom, you know, they were the team that was a half game back of the Giants for that final wild card spot. And so the Giants therefore gained a half game. So instead of being tied with Arizona, they're now a game up on Arizona for that final wild card spot. And I believe after that, the Reds are just a game and a half back. So it is tight, and it is going to be September tomorrow. And so just the stretch run is here, and the Giants are going to have to play well. And this was a good step in the right direction. So we'll break it down later on Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
The Braves will play 4 games against the Dodgers over the weekend in what could be a playoff preview between the two best teams in the National League. Our Locked On Dodgers host recaps the first game against Atlanta.
Well, I'd say we got our money's worth in that game. What's up? It's Jeff from Locked On Dodgers. In a game between the two best teams in baseball, it was a battle back and forth. The Braves jumped out to a 7-1 lead. The Dodgers battled back, pulled within 1, couldn't get the job done, had the tying run in scoring position in the 9th inning, ultimately could not get the win, dropped the game 8-7. But you know, in a playoff preview, probably an NLCS preview, although we thought that about the Dodgers and Mets last year, but, you know, hopefully an NLCS preview. The Dodgers and Braves traded blows, went back and forth. Ronald Acuña and Mookie Betts in an MVP battle, went back and forth. Acuña had a grand slam. Betts had 2 homers. Just everything we could have hoped for that game, except, you know, ideally the Dodgers would have come out on top. But a game where Lance Lynn was terrible and Spencer Strider was pitching for the Braves, and the Dodgers had the tying run on base in the 9th inning, not too bad. Another game tomorrow and another Locked On Dodgers tomorrow.
That's it for this edition of Locked On Game to Game MLB. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. We're very close to the finish line. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On MLB and your favorite team's Locked On podcast on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Game to Game.